I want to speak to you about the three qualities of the gunas in existence as per the Vedic texts and how it relates to Vedic astrology and the houses and the quality of the houses that it embodies, each house. So, the three qualities in existence, and this relates to our personally to human beings as the qualities of our thoughts, the qualities of our emotions, the quality of our personalities, the qualities of the food and drink we eat. It carries through creation. It's not just one thing. It affects all energies, it affects all consciousness, it affects everything. And it even affects the food and type of food and drink we have. So even Ayurveda takes these three forces into consideration. What you are trying to balance in the body are these three energies. Even the Godhead, which is in Hindu, the Brahma, the Vishnu, and the Shiva, are these three aspects. So let's see what those aspects are just from a quality point of view, because if we examine from a quality point of view, then we get a better understanding in terms of astrology and the energies that each of the houses, house number 1 through 12, carries in our charts. So what are these qualities? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva stands for conceptual level or the idea level of things. It stands for balance, it stands for harmony, it stands for goodness and purity. Now, this goodness and purity is relatable only as a conceptual form. The higher vibration, the highest vibration of a thing is the sattvic form of it. So, it is constructive creativity. It seeks higher awareness, higher vibration of all kinds of things. So this is the seeking point which all of us human beings aspire to: a higher awareness, a higher consciousness, a higher emotional value, a higher mind, a higher heart, and so on and so forth. We can take it to any level, as you get my drift. Second one is Rajas. Rajas is movement. Constant oscillatory movement is Rajas, which stands for passion. It translates as passion, it translates as activity, movement. It also stands for individuation, like the Uranus energy. I'm trying to relate here to astrological parts, okay? So it stands like Mercury, it stands like Venus, it stands like Uranus, it stands like Pluto, right? Or Mars even. So it wants to move things around, move the energies around, move things in physicality, in every dimension really. And the last one being tamas or inactivity, materialization of things, making things concrete, brick and concrete things of this universe. So it stands for inactivity. It stands for inertia, because anything material wants to sit in one place, right? The Newton's law of motion kind of thing. It wants to remain in a state of rest, inertia, grounding. In terms of personality, it can be selfish as ego, means egotistical people, right? In terms of human nature, in terms of personalities, like I, me, myself. What can I get for myself out of this whole thing? Always looking for deals like that. The extreme version can be narcissism. So, but basically, the tamasic energy is materialistic, it's physical, it's wanting to make things solid. Understand it in absolute sense like that. So starting from the top again, Sattva is idea or concept level, Rajas is movement or passion level, activity level. Then the third one, Tamas, is material level or the stationary level, the inertial level of things. Now I have put 3 arrows there, as you can see. The arrows are constantly moving between the 3 energies. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas are constantly in a state of dynamic balance in the creation, in the universe, in all dimensions of existence. It's like constantly moving around. All the elements are present in all of us. Understand this very, very clearly. It's not that you just keep seeking Sattva and become Sattvic, as is popularly want to be told even in India. That's a misconception, folks. If you read the Upanishads, it is all 3 of them present in everything, all the time. That's the way the creation is built. It's a triangular kind of balance of the three forces all the time, okay, everywhere. So understand this as gunas, or the qualities of existence. Now we come to the four ways of seeking that we humans indulge in. We all are seeking for something or the other in different aspects of our life. We are seeking something in thought, we are seeking some feeling, we are seeking some kind of a physical actualization of things in our life. We are seeking something all of the other time. Now the ancients in India, the rishis and the ones who wrote the Vedic literature and the Upanishads and so on and so forth, they classified them into four basic types of seeking. This is my interpretation, folks. Take it for what is worth. You can do your own googling. You can take what resonates with you here, okay? I am translating in a way in which I have understood. So dharma actually means you are seeking meaning and you are seeking the conceptual value of whatever it is that you are looking for. It may be a thought, it may be an emotion, it may be a task, it may be people, relationships, business, jobs, it may be any area. Now I'm talking with respect to astrology also here as an overlap. Next one is Artha. Artha is taken in Sanskrit to be, these are all Sanskrit words obviously. Artha is literally taken as meaning, but actually Artha means seeking the means and the tools for accomplishing tasks. So it's a level of grounding. As an example, I can say dharma means, let's say I want to have a piece of cake, make a piece of cake and eat it. Artha means, what do I need for making that cake? You get the import of this. So Artha is seeking means and the tools for accomplishing what? That dharma that I am seeking. That is the Artha. It's a Sanskrit word. Seeking means is Artha. Next one on the list is, as you can see, Kama. Kama means seeking desire and fulfillment, the emotional center. So Kama means seeking desire. Okay. And last one, Moksha, is seeking liberation from meanings and desires. So whatever you have been seeking and doing in dharma, artha and kama parts of seeking, you let go of all of those. Because every meaning, every thought form, every emotional form is just a construct for the soul to have an experience. I'm just strictly speaking as per Upanishads and Vedas here. The Vedic texts say all that the soul desires is expansion and experience. All embodied consciousness or human bodies that have ever been there are all seeking this in their own individual ways. So they go through these phases, dharma, artha, kama and moksha. First seeking meaning and concept, and next artha seeking means and tools to accomplish that. Kama means now you are seeking desire and fulfillment out of those. That means you thought I will eat a cake. Artha means you went and got the things that you need to make a cake. Kama means you are actually eating the cake. Moksha means you are done with the cake. See the stages? I'm just putting it in very, very simple terms here. So it's not too complicated or abstract. Now in the next one we will see how these relate to the 12 houses of Vedic astrology. Now let's talk about the house meanings and what they mean to each other, from my take on Vedic astrology perspective and what I have seen. So the blue shaded portion are called the kendras, or the foundations of a person's life. This diamond, big diamond in the center, is the Kendra house or the foundational house. Everything that happens within the blue house affects the person singularly, as in it shakes the very foundations of their self and their sense of self and what they are to do in the world. It's a very predominant aspect. And the ones outside the diamond all are something that are added onto you as talents or removed from you as gains and losses or acquisitions and losses. Okay, so these are called the konas or triconas or triangles because they are all triangular shaped. Okay, right. So the first house stands for self, which is your head, right? The sense of self. First house is the sense of self. The second house is your family, your sense of stability of life, your earned wealth. It also stands for the family you were born in or the family you will create. It also stands for earned wealth when you will earn it, when you will become a working professional of some kind or a businessman of some kind. The third house stands for skills, your ability as skills, communication, short travels, your sense of individuality, how you stand apart, the first sense of individuality. And expenses for self means what you expend on yourself to cultivate all of this. Go on short travels, cultivate your individuality, your communication skill, your social media, your abilities in all kinds of physical attributes. Third house also stands for arms, what you do with your arms, your hands. Okay. The fourth house, now we come into the foundational part, again stands for mother, your heart energy. What resides in your fourth house resides in your heart pretty much. Okay. It also stands for house, real estate, whatever you want to buy as real estate, cars, your sense of stable things which you call home. It also stands for home. The fifth house is the house of creativity, your creative center. Your sense of self as in who are you personally? What is your creative self all about? What are your loves? What are your desires as in romantic love and desires? It also stands for children, the outcome of love as children, as procreation. It also stands for gain as personal wealth. Your personal sense of wealth is derived from the fifth house, your gut. It also stands for your stomach, by the way, the fifth house. The sixth house is for daily grind, it's a daily work. It stands for small illnesses. You're working for self here, your daily routines. What you do work for yourself. It also stands for whatever you do in the waking hours, when you're awake from morning till sleep. Your known enemies, whom you know in the world as your enemies. It also stands for small illnesses, cold, cough, fever, that kind of a thing. It also stands for energy expense on self. What you gain as personal wealth is expended here. Okay, that's the sixth house. The seventh house is the house of spouse, is the house of romantic relationships. It's the house of the other, it's the house of all others and what you bring to others. Legal contracts, business partnerships, what ties and binds you have with the external world, even from your own marriage. Okay, it all external ties is the other self, is the seventh house. This is where your journey begins in the external world. Your eighth house stands for others' family, as in if you get married here, the eighth house is your in-laws, right? So other people's family as your spouse's family or your in-laws. It stands for instability of life as opposed to second house, which is your stability sense of life. Every one of us has got a stable part of life and an unstable part of life. So eighth house stands for instability. Eighth house also stands for others' wealth, what you inherit, maybe from your in-laws, maybe from your wife's side or husband's side. That's the eighth house. Eighth house also stands for the sexual organs area, by the way. So it's everything gained from your spouse which you take into the eighth house. Is here you get married, here you indulge yourself in the marital acts, so to speak. Ninth house stands for life philosophy, what you develop through maturing years as your life philosophy, right from the times you are a young adult, teenager, and going on right up till ripe old age. You keep changing your life philosophy as you gain life experiences. So this stands for that. Your personal life philosophy, not philosophy as the general world philosophy, okay? What it means to you. It also stands for foreign travels. For example, third house is short travels in and around your city. Ninth house is for foreign travels where you go abroad, okay, with respect to your native house. It stands for worldview as opposed to your individuality in the third house. So as you can see, opposite houses have opposite qualities. You will see it everywhere. You can compare second and eighth, first and seventh, fourth and 10th. So it stands for worldview. What is your view of the world? Are you cross-cultural? Are you libertarian, or you're a conservative kind of a person? Are you more local, or are you more worldview kind of a person? What is your worldview? What's your view of the world, put it simply? And what you expend for others in the form of your wisdom, knowledge, money, everything. This is where even ninth house stands in a person for the children's higher education, your higher education. So that requires some money to spend. So that's expenses for others. Then we come to the foundational house. Once again, the Kendra house is the 10th house. 10th house stands for father or the head. Okay. It also stands for career. It also stands for job, business, what you do in the external world. Typically, the father here is more like an archetype. This mother is an archetype, father is an archetype. It can mean anything. So the father as a head here. Okay, it also stands for the head. What you do with your mind as in head. This is the sense of self as in the head. 11th house is the opposite of the 5th house, where you are exploring creativity in the 5th house. You are giving away that creativity to the community. 11th house is all about greater community of the world. It can also stand for social media these days, because it's the greater community. What is your sense of community? What is your sense of fulfillment of love and desires? Here you make loves and desires for yourself. There you actually fulfill it or not, whichever, depending upon how your chart is. This is what you gain wealth from others. Here is your personal wealth as your gifts and talents and education and all the rest of it, your loves and desires. This is your personal sense of wealth. Here is what you gain from the world. So it's more or less like money, fame, everything that you gain from the world depends upon what you're putting out from 5th house to 11th house. Okay. 12th house, the final one, stands for service to others. Let's compare it with the 6th house. Working for self in the 6th house and bringing it as service to others in the 12th house. So it also stands for sleeping hours as opposed to waking hours in the 6th house. It stands for hidden enemies as opposed to known enemies. You know who your enemies are in the 6th house. You don't know who your enemies are in the 12th house. So depending upon how strong or weak these houses are, some people have more hidden enemies, which they say, oh, I never knew he or she is my enemy, or they did such and such a thing to me. It can be even in the family. So those are the hidden enemies. It also stands for chronic illnesses as opposed to small illnesses. The blood pressure, the diabetes, all these kind of chronic illnesses are in the 12th house. Ones which require hospitalization. 12th house also stands for hospitalization. And energy expense towards others. All these things requires you expending your energy towards others. It also is sleeping hours, psychic dreams, spirituality, all the rest of it. That's the 12th house. Now, as an end note, I want you to remember this, and I also want you to see this particular aspect, the way I see it. This is the higher aspect of what goes on in every single chart. I want you to have this image in mind. I want you to revisit this particular part of every presentation that I'm going to include, because you will need this going forward. As I see it, this is the vertical split in every chart. The left half is feminine, it's intuitive, it goes inwards, everything you cultivate towards self. The right half is the masculine, it is creative as opposed to intuitive, it goes outwards and it goes towards others, the rest of the world. Everything that goes on in this half of the chart is towards the external world. Everything that goes on in this half of the world is your internal world, what you do for self. Okay, this will play out in every single part. In fact, It plays out even in as left and right side of our body. Our body, if you want to go down the tantric yoga system, the kundalini is right in the center of us. It's right along this axis. The left half is feminine and the right half is masculine. It's even in tantra yoga. Okay, so I'll leave you with this much, and I want you to have this whole slide and image in mind as we move towards each and every ascendant. Okay, I will discover, I will bring forth my own intuitive knowledge, understanding, and how I have seen, perceived according to Vedic knowledge and study of other texts as well, not just astrology, of different ascendants and how they play out in each of the ascendants. So you might need to revisit this at that time. Okay.